Hello and welcome into the Sporting Jacks Report along with Mauricio Ruiz. I'm Cole Pepper. It has been an historic week for the USL Championship. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Also, the U.S. women's national team in a very transitional phase, but also making a statement on the world stage. We'll hear from Becky Burleigh coming up in just a moment. But first, we want to invite you to be a part of Sporting Jacks. Connect with us by listening to the Sporting Pod. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or Amazon Music. In the latest installment, Mauricio, Tony, and I talked about a lot of things, including the big moment in the USL Championship going on CBS Network for the first time. We'll get into that more here in just a bit. You can also send us your questions at sportingpod@sportingjacks.com. All right, let's talk first, before we get into the action on the field, about what we've been doing off the field. And Mauricio, you and I had a chance to be a part of the Gator Bowl Charities Career Day at Edward Waters University. A lot of high school students, hundreds of high school students there. Really was quite an event to be able to engage with the next generation of stars.
Yeah, and it was a great event because a lot of people don't know how to get into sports business per se, unless you're an athlete, retired, or if you're going to get into broadcast or marketing. There's so many different lanes of it. So the Gator Bowl provided the opportunity to young people, all the way from freshmen in high school. We saw seniors all the way to freshmen, just to get an opportunity to, if I were to get into sports, where do I start? Mm-hmm. So we got to engage with several hundred really, young people here from Jacksonville. Just got to tell our story a little bit amongst other professional teams there.
7 different Duval County high schools were represented, and I think we'll see some of those folks working in sports and other areas in the very near future as their careers get underway. All right, speaking of getting underway, let's get right into it. It's been a thrilling start to the USL Championship season thus far. Let's take a look at the results from this past week. We will get to the 5-3 Louisville over Indy score in just a moment. But boy, there were some games that had goals galore and then others that were tough to find this week.
Yeah, I think we had a little bit of both spectrums. You look at Pittsburgh and Tampa. Tampa's been scoring, pretty aggressive team. Pittsburgh, still trying to find their feet. But 0-0, you had a couple low scoring games, Monterey and Oakland. But then you had your big games, your Louisville, you have Tulsa. You've had a lot of games with a lot of goals this year. New Mexico and El Paso, what a wonderful rivalry that's become as well, kind of in that region. So a little bit of both spectrums, this past weekend.
Well, let's take a look at the table right now for the East and the West. In the East, you see Louisville and Detroit City have been perfect so far. They've received 12 points out of 4 matches. That's as good as it gets. In the West, nobody has been perfect, but both Orange County and Sacramento Republic have been pretty darn perfect. They haven't lost a game so far. 11 points from 5. New Mexico United right on their heels, 10 points from 5. We're already starting to see the cream rise to the top in both conferences.
You really are. And if you look at the East, Detroit and Hartford, who would have thought, right? They, after last year, both teams struggled. They both kind of tried to find their way, but never really kind of came through. And after 4 games, you look at Detroit, 4-0, perfect, and Hartford's right there as well. And then look over at the West. You're looking at Vegas and New Mexico. Vegas, they've equaled their win total from last year after 4 games. So after 5 games, so it'll be interesting to see kind of how they continue. Mm-hmm. But I've been saying from the very beginning, Vegas is a brand new roster, but they have an identity how they play, and now they're getting it going. I think they're going to be competing if they stay on this track.
All right, let's get to our match of the week, and it was a match of the week for more than one reason. As Louisville City hosted Indy 11 in the first ever match broadcast on a over-the-air network. CBS is part of the new USL partnership, launching this one on Final Four Saturday. And boy, you could not have asked for more action from a soccer match.
And if you wanted to find a star, there's a new star into the league. Harry Wilson, he's leading the league with goals. Now he had a hat trick, not to give it away, but if you watch it, what a wonderful event that was. Louisville, one of the better facilities, and he starts right away with Harry Wilson just kind of getting number 14. See, you see it here on the bottom of your screen, a little give and go, and just look at this strike, look at this angle. He's a number 9, but he kind of pops into wide areas as well. He's young, he's got a good body, he's mobile, he takes players on, and just look at this crowd, Cole.
Got it going in the 16th minute, but that would be a short-lived lead as you take another look at Wilson Harris. Tough angle there. Take a look here. Tell me if you think this was a penalty. Certainly a foul inside of the box, coming up right there. And it didn't take long for the referee to point to the spot, despite the protest. Jack Blake, former Jacksonville United, Jacksonville Armada player, able to put it away first goal of the match for him, and it tied things up at 1-1, but it didn't take long for Wilson Harris to get involved once again.
Yeah, and Wilson here with the assist to another Wilson, a Wilson-to-Wilson play here. And once again, he's popping into those wide areas. And number 14 here at the bottom of your screen, he's their number 9, but he gets into this wide advanced areas, and he really makes it happen.
9 minutes later, Ray Serrano would set up Elijah Winder, and this was a pretty good effort there, getting that done in the second half.
And you can see here, Adrian Perez kind of just winding up and spinning the defender, and a bit of like a back and forth, a potential call for an offside, but you see that they actually had a player on the line inside the goal.
All right, here we are at 59th minute, and this is a great pass from Sebastian Guinzati, cutting it back, and Jack Blake put it away in the lower left corner. But take another look at this pass, Mauricio. At first, it just looked like sort of a ho-hum cross. It was anything but.
Why? And there's a reason why they have this specific goalkeeper, Yannick Oro. He came from ECF. I got to watch him quite a bit, and you can see on the replay, this is not a just big ball over the top. And he puts this right in the pocket of Jack Blake, and all he has to do is take a clean first touch, follow the play through, lead it. You're taught once you make a forward pass, just follow it, and it's going to be easy tap-ins.
And that would cut the lead to 3-2, but it wouldn't last long. Adrian Perez, look at the work he does here to get it to Wilson Harris yet again, and Harris with his second goal of the match.
Yeah, and Adrian Perez, I mean, he just came from San Diego Loyos, and he may not be, filling up the stat sheet, but he makes his team happen, and what a great finish, what a great day for Harris.
And in the 71st minute, it's Serrano finding Harris with a hat trick. 3 goals on the day for Wilson Harris. Maybe offside, maybe
I think there's
not.
no maybe there. If there was a VAR, that goal would definitely come back.
82nd minute, Indy tried to get one back. This is a great shot. It actually goes as an own goal off the deflection to make it a 5-3 game. That was the final. But a very exciting match, and as we mentioned, Louisville stays perfect. Indy, a lot to build on from that matchup. But give me your thoughts, Mauricio, about not only the game itself, but also to have this as a showcase for the league in the first ever network broadcast.
Yeah, I wonder if the league and the owners came into the locker room, each team said, hey, defending is optional today. We want to make this game wide and expensive, wide open, and really entertaining. But he was. These two teams that actually do play wide open. Mm-hmm. They do go after it. They don't change their style. They don't sit in. So I think the league did a great job of partnering with CBS to choosing a game that they knew they were going to have a lot of fireworks. A 5-3 with a hat trick of a young player in the league. I mean, you kind of get everything that you wanted there. But what a great entertaining game that was.
Now let's shift our focus to the U.S. women's national team. In the midst of the She Believes Cup, we're recording this before the finals against Canada, but after the semifinal matchup against Japan, we welcome in Becky Burleigh, and I really found the matchup against Japan to be kind of an interesting staging of past, present, and future in some regards for the U.S. women's national team. Not that I'm trying to make Alex Morgan the past yet, but you have players like Alex who have so much experience, along with the new like Lindsey Horan and Sophia Smith, and maybe we can't call her the future. Maybe the future is now with Jaden Shaw. But we sort of have 3 generations of U.S. women's national team stars on the field at the same time.
It is a really exciting time for the national team because I think you're right. And Jaden Shaw, like, what is she? Is she the present? Is she the future? If you listen to Twyla, she still thinks that there's a lot more to give for Jaden. And so that makes it her the future. But, man, what she's doing right now is pretty sweet. So I love it. I love watching these new players. I love watching players like Sam Coffey, who came through the collegiate ranks and is just killing it out there. And I love Alex Morgan kind of reinventing herself in some ways. And so it's a pretty exciting time.
It is. And an interesting time, too, when you talk about the transition to coaching after this event. Emma Hayes will take over. You've got the Olympics still to come. How much change do you expect on this roster and in terms of style and approach once Emma takes over with her new role?
Well, I think we're seeing a lot of Emma's influence right now. Even that game in particular, if you look at it, her teams are pretty aggressive and bold, and the counter pressing, the high line, all of that seems to me to have a lot of Emma written all over it. But there's something to be said for being in person with the players and having the interactions with the players and seeing what that takes on for a life of its own in terms of the culture And I'm pretty excited about that. But, you know, props to Twyla for doing what she's done in this interim role. She's done a great job.
And a tough role, too. And you know that it's going to only last so long, and you're also sort of doing somebody else's work in some regard. It has to be a little bit of a tricky navigation. It seems that it's been handled very well thus far. How important will the Olympic tournament be for Emma Hayes establishing a culture that she wants with the team?
Well, I don't think you can, you know, talk about the U.S. women's national team in a massive event like the Olympics and not think that it's going to be really, really important. You know, I think it is the first one for her, but certainly to have your first one be such a big event as the Olympics, I think there's going to be a lot riding on that in terms of her ability to make an impact right away. And I think there's expectations that this is a great opportunity for her to continue to take these, like what you just said, the present, the future players, meld them all together and just start building. I mean, I think this phase of the national team, it kind of reminds me of, you know, I don't know what that was, probably like, what was that, 15 years ago, when you had like Abby Wambach coming in as a young player, and there was like sort of a little influx at that time. Like there's players that come in here and there, but it seems like right now we're just in a great period of time where you have stars that are either returning from injury. Like think about like Kat Macario, think about Mallory Swanson. Like there's some great players in this group. I'll tell you one thing I wouldn't want to be if I was Emma, choosing that roster.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a big part of this, because she's going to have to decide who's she going to take to Paris. There are some we know will be on there. Where, from a roster building standpoint, where are the toughest decisions going to come for her? Is there a position group that you think is going to make it more difficult for her to fill it out, or figuring out structurally and tactically how she wants to approach things?
You know, that's a really good question. I would have to think that the attacking group is one of the biggest challenges, because there's just so many options, and so many options that are somewhat interchangeable. So, for example, if you look at Jaden Shaw, you know, we see her in the midfield, but we also see her in like the 7 and the 11. And so how do you fit the best pieces together? And a lot of people thought that was the problem the last time around in a major international tournament with the national team was, are we trying to fit pieces in places where they don't fit just to get the right people on the roster instead of the right fit? Well, I think Emma is going to have the opportunity to have both the right pieces and the right fit, because she has so many options.
It'll be very interesting. A lot of exciting moments to come here in this summer for the U.S. women's national team for sure. Becky, thanks so much. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Becky. We want to remind you to become a member of Sporting Jacks. It's absolutely free. Just go to sportingjacks.com. You get discounts on club merchandise, invitation to insider events, automatic entry into competitions to win special prizes and experiences, and you'll receive the Sporting Jacks monthly email newsletter. Plus, place a deposit on season tickets and receive first access to seats and a special limited edition Sporting Jacks founding member pin. Just go to sportingjacks.com to place your deposit. For our goal of the week, well, we're going to leave you this. We go to Colorado Springs, where Sacramento Republic took a 2-0 win, thanks in large part to this terrific run by Russell Cicerone, Shades of Maradona, as Sacramento remained unbeaten after 5 matches. Be sure to subscribe to stay connected. For Mauricio Ruiz, for Becky Burleigh, I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks for watching the Sporting Jacks Report.
Fantastic work from Russell Cicerone. He gets his first of 2024 and doubles the advantage for Sacramento.
One of the best dribblers in the USL Championship, and he uses Arman as a decoy. Arman makes the run. If you look at it here, he picks it up, full of confidence, starts to take it down the throat. Arman makes the run to the right, creates